let's see if everything switches properly. Aha! Oh, it does not. Okay. Now, I think we got game audio. Yay! Okay, cool. That works. And bam! I think everything lines up. Awesome. Greetings, people who may be watching or probably watching the VOD later, because I know most people watch the VOD on my channel instead of live. We're back with more Metroid Dread. Today, very special guest, Cyder Delish, who is going to be running Metroid Hard Mode. The gameplay today will be on Cyder's end, and I am more learning Hard Mode, so that I can do Hard Mode run later, and then eventually Dread Mode. Oh, I hit a button. There we go. Something changed. I hit a button. I don't know what button I hit. Oh no. Okay, I think it is. So, welcome, Cyder. She's here. Maybe.
Yes, hello. I
Haha.
didn't know whether or not you wanted me to introduce myself yet. Hello, I am Cyder Delish. I play a lot of Metroid. I especially love Metroid Dread.
Yeah, Metroid Dread is awesome. A worthy intro. Words. Oh my gosh. Why that?
A worthy introduction to the Metroid series for fans old and new.
Yeah, that works. Uh, intro. There's a word that I was looking for, but it left my brain.
It's unfortunate.
Yep. Anyway, um, inclusion maybe something. I don't know. Sequel. And it's a good game. Anyway, as I was saying when I think I was not muted, the gameplay today is going to be Cyder playing and me observing and us talking about Metroid and what to do and how to beat hard mode. And I am going to be doing this at a later date. This is a tutorial for me.
Basically. I basically always play hard mode, personally, because the game just feels tuned to hard mode, and I'll explain, like, once we're actually in it. I've also played through Dread mode 3 times. My most recent Dread mode run was actually pretty good. I think it only took me about 3.5 to 4 hours. My normal hard mode run takes about 3. So, that's what we're in for.
That is a lot faster than what I did it on normal.
Yeah, but I've played through this game at least a dozen times, if not like 2 dozen. I've definitely surpassed the double digits a while ago. And while the first time or two was a bit, while I was practicing, like, I took notes, then I followed my notes, and then I played through it so many times I didn't need notes anymore.
I've played through this game twice. Once on launch, and then the other time when I streamed it, both on normal mode. And
I
I think
enjoyed watching your stream, though. It's a big part of the reason why I wanted to, do this with you.
yay. I'm glad, because otherwise I probably would not be stepping into hard mode later on. Because, yeah, it looks hard. And Dread mode just looks like a nightmare. I get touched by all of the little bugs everywhere. Dread mode would take years.
Well, it's actually kind of interesting when you're actually like into Dread mode. Like the first time, yeah, it's rough, but I don't know if it's the same for everyone. But personally, every time I died, it did still feel fair. Like, I saw what I did, I saw, like, what happened, I saw what I could have done. I, like, was like, oh, I was a bit hasty there, I should wait for that enemy, I should wait for a better position, you know, so on and so forth. All of the bosses, completely doable. Some are much harder than others, but at the end of the day, I was still like steadily making progress. I was like, I'm just gonna play Dread mode until I hit a wall, and I never really hit that wall that made me just want to stop. And then I finished it, and the next time I did a little better, and the time after that I did better still. So
I don't foresee like the bosses being the end of me in Dread mode. What's going to be the end of me are random projectiles flying around the screen that I'm just going to turn around and like, boop, needle to the face, and I explode.
that's the thing about Metroid Dread. There's actually a lot less projectiles than you would expect. Most enemies are very contact damage focused. So if you're avoiding enemies well, like if you're watching their movements and know how they're going to act, you can actually avoid like a lot of the damage in this game. Now there's the mutalisks, of course. Well, that's what I call them. The guys that flap around and shoot spikes in 8 directions.
Yep, I
And
know
then there's,
exactly
like,
what
the
you're talking
lasers
about.
in Dairon. But you sort of like learn their timing and you learn exactly how they're going to shoot. So, and playing through in hard mode definitely helps you learn to avoid things too, because you have a lot less leeway.
Yes. I'm definitely going to step up to Dread mode. But I'm something of a completionist, so I have to have like everything unlocked, and so I'm gonna have to finish Dread mode at one point.
That's fair. When do I begin? Do you want me to wait until 8 and we just chat until then, or can I go ahead?
No, go ahead. Yep.
All right.
Most people are going to be watching this on VOD, so.
Oh, fair enough. So as you can see, I've got a couple files here. They already exist. I don't have any like blank files, but they have like 0% completion and 3 minutes and 44 seconds. As it turns out, if you skip the intro cutscene, well, you can't actually skip the intro cutscene, but the intro cutscene is apparently exactly 3 minutes and 44 seconds long. Which is why these have the exact same amount of time. Basically, when I want to play Dread mode, I boot up this file. When I want to play hard mode, I boot up this file. I never want to play normal mode anymore, as previously stated. This is going to skip the intro cutscene. As soon as it loads in, I will be in the game, no intro, because the intro is unskippable unless you do it this way. And the way you do it this way is after you watch the intro cutscene, you just exit back to main menu, and then you have a file that is beyond the intro cutscene. Simple as that. It auto saves basically after you start.
No, okay. I'm going to definitely make one of those for myself.
Yeah. Another way of getting this is just playing through the game without saving once. If you just play through the entire game and never save, you will also have a file that looks like this.
So what kind of completion percentage are we looking at?
I think I usually finish somewhere in the 70s. I don't quite remember off the top of my head because I don't really pay attention.
Oh,
Movement in this game feels really good. Oh yeah, you can skip walking up to Adam, but you cannot skip any of Adam's conversations. You can only mash through them like this. Also, I never save. It's a waste of time.
Until you get like right at the end and then you die.
Even if you die right at the end, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, because it does the quick save things, huh?
Yeah, it has checkpoints. I actually only had my first deathless run of hard mode the other day, after playing this game so many times. So, something I noticed you're not doing enough in your own run is this counterattack. This counterattack is a great way of killing most enemies just quickly and easily in one hit. There's a lot of really annoying enemies that can be killed instantly with the counter.
Yeah, I missed it so many times.
They tutorialize so much at the beginning.
They do.
I do like how you start the game with missiles, and every time you gain missiles, that's probably the only successful enemy escape I'm ever going to have, because that's the one they give you for free.
I can get the Emmy escape sometimes. Like I credit my ability to catch those Emmy escapes as much as I did on Breath of the Wild, playing through hero mode on that one, because the shield bash for the ancient like drone things is random, and I spent so much time practicing how to get that right so I could insta kill those guys with a shield.
I would say shield counters on Guardians is a lot easier than the counter on Emmys, because with the Emmys you have to anticipate it, and it is random. You basically just have to hit when you think they're going to do the thing and hope you get lucky.
Yeah, it is a lot harder to do it with the Emmy than it is in Breath of the Wild. But on hero mode in Breath of the Wild, those shield counters, the beam fires are random too, but they're not as random as the Emmy.
I love the wall jump in this game. It's a lot easier than Super Metroid. It took me a while to get it right because I was trying to do the Super Metroid wall jump inputs, and it doesn't work in this game. You have to be pointing your controller toward a wall, like while you're pressing the jump button to do the wall jump, whereas in Super Metroid, you like jump into the wall, and then you have to push away from the wall at the same instant that you push the jump button. And I've got that input down pat for Super Metroid, so this one took a little bit of adjustment when I started really playing it.
Yeah, no wall jump is quite like the wall jump in Super Metroid. I've never had another game that did it quite like that. But I'm happy about the wall jump in this game, that it doesn't feel like the wall jump from Zero Mission and Fusion, which just kind of feels bad.
I don't really remember them very well, though I am planning to like practice them as well quite a bit, both Zero Mission and Fusion, because I kind of want to do like a Metroid marathon at some point. So like, basically my plan is start with Zero Mission, beat that like as fast as I can, go to AM2R because that's the best version I know of Metroid 2. Son of a... These Emmys are sometimes very uncooperative. Like, this Emmy being here is really annoying because that's where I need to go.
I ran into that a few times. I'm like, why are you right in front of where I need to go, Emmy? Move! Have you played Samus Returns? The 3DS one?
I did not, no. I didn't hear very good things about it, and I was like, I already have my... Oh, I can't get that yet. I already have my Metroid 2 game with AM2R. I don't need it. Oh. Almost ran directly into that guy.
I would say the biggest downside to Samus Returns is the fact that it's on the 3DS. Just holding the thing, for me, it always made my hands cramp.
I could see that.
But a lot of...
As you're seeing, I'm trying my best to avoid, like, taking any damage at all, and that's basically what you have to do in hard mode. Oh, I like getting the moves. And... yeah, like, once you're in dread mode, it's mandatory, obviously. If you take any damage, you die instantly. But just playing through in hard mode, you really learn like exactly how the enemies are moving and where they're going to be, and it will help a lot. Sorry, you were saying about Samus Returns?
Oh, just a lot of the systems that are in this game were created for Samus Returns, like the counter system and a way a lot of the beam swapping and stuff happens and how the missiles and stuff work. They're just rougher in Samus Returns.
Yeah, I can see that. Because, like, for one thing, the 3DS is only so strong. And for another thing, like, that was like their first time working on a Metroid game, right? Like that was their first shot at Metroid, and I guess Nintendo decided they knocked it out of the park. So like this was like their magnum opus that was building on everything they did for Samus Returns.
Yeah, and you can really see it in this one. Like it feels like the system in Samus Returns, they perfected it for this. You got here a lot faster than I did.
Yeah, Charge Beam is your first power up that you really get. What was that? Anyway, Charge Beam is the first power up that you really get, and I hate that they made it mandatory because in Super Metroid I tend to skip Charge Beam until much later, and I barely use it even once I have it. But you have to use it in this. No choice.
That is actually one of the things that I liked about this game. The way that they redesigned the item order away from more traditional Metroid.
Yeah, I definitely like that. I like this whole like Samus sliding through a narrow gap so you don't need Morph Ball until later. I really do like that. Plus, it adds like a fluidity to the movement that is very fun.
Yeah, and even the little things like how integrated the wall jump is, the fact that she vaults over smaller obstacles, and she can run into that dashing counterattack right there. Like all of those things just make it feel epic just moving around in this game.
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Oop. I almost got bitten by this thing. If you fall through here without killing him, he bites you.
Yep, I have been bitten multiple times. Oh, the brain is awake.
I hate this cutscene right here with the fucking central unit activating. It's like, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to be like, oh, this creepy thing, it's probably watching you. But I'm just like, I don't need a cutscene for this. Just, like, Super Metroid was able to give me a sense of tension and fear without resorting to random cutscenes in the middle of nowhere.
It was, but like the more that I watch them make more Metroid games, the more I feel like all of those awesome things about Super Metroid were a fluke.
Maybe. I do know that they were working with much more limited hardware back in the SNES day. Like, they could have a cutscene for the intro, but like not throughout the game. So I get that,
Yeah.
But at the same time, there were lessons to be learned from that. Sometimes less is more.
Yeah, and those kind of restrictions, especially in game design, can lead to some really like charming gameplay things that you wouldn't naturally, you wouldn't naturally arrive at if you didn't need to do it that way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a big believer in restriction leading to innovation. I absolutely believe that's true and it's good. And I know a lot of people who agree. Like, you've seen Micro Mages before. Brick Road can never stop talking about it.
Yes. I saw it during his shuffle for the first time.
Yeah. And these guys just, like, put these restrictions on themselves, and they made something amazing out of it. And I love that. Honestly, even the small restrictions, like they had for Shovel Knight, was an amazing idea. Because, like, Shovel Knight, sure, it doesn't actually have the restrictions, but they, like, restricted themselves to the aesthetic of those kinds of games, and I feel like the game is much stronger for it.
I agree. I've been watching some of the behind the scenes for the Micro Mages and the restrictions and stuff that they put on it, and it's really interesting. But it's also interesting that they ignored one restriction that the NES had, and it helped with the sprite flickering. The original NES had to put far larger sprites on the screen. You wouldn't have been able to get away with the tiny sprites that they use in Micro Mages, just because of the CRT screens. you wouldn't have been able to see the detail in sprites that small. That's why all of the sprites for like the older Nintendo games were like 4 sprites put together.
So here we are at the first quote-unquote boss. If I can get through this whole playthrough without getting caught by an enemy, I'll be pretty happy. But in hard mode, enemies are the biggest threat because unlike most things, an enemy can kill you instantly. In dread mode, it's the opposite, in fact. Enemies are the one things that can't kill you instantly. You touch them and you still have a chance to get away without dying. So the game is basically turned on its head. The whole game is terrifying, but the enemies are less scary just because they can't kill you right away. He'll be dropping into this spot right here.
That's something that I definitely need to learn. Where to go and where the enemies are going to be standing once I get there. Because I've noticed that from speedrunners playing this game, they know exactly where to go and stand and which direction the enemy's going to go to get to where they're standing.
Speedrunners play this game a little more risky than I like to. As I told you before we started, I'm basically playing a quote-unquote casual run of this game. I'm doing it very quickly, but this
poor
is
man's
just a
speedrun.
casual run. A what?
I always call those the poor man's speedrun.
Poor man's speedrun. Yeah, I'm not doing any glitches. I'm not doing any skips. I'm not doing any sequence breaks. I'm just playing through the game, quote-unquote developer intended. I know there's some developer intended skips. I'm not using any of those either. And I like playing through the game this way. Unlike Super Metroid, where I'm like, I will always skip Spore Spawn and Crocomire. I'm like, I kind of want to fight everything in this game because it's just so much fun to do so.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I did any developer intended routes in Super Metroid. I don't even know if I remember the developer intended routes anymore because like I always, as soon as I enter Green Brine Star, I go get that super missile immediately and I never get a Spore Spawn.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so here's the first boss. This is Corpus. I like to be like here under his tail. Oh, I fucked up. I needed to like bait it out and then run back in. Okay, that's okay. So with this, you don't even have to bother to use missiles. It's important to learn the timing. Oh. And then you slide under, counter, shoot. And you get this nice, cool little cutscene.
One thing I like about this cutscene is that what you shoot depends on what buttons you're holding. So you just be pelting it with normal shots, or missiles if you hold down the missile button.
Damn it. Fuck. Good, missiles. So, I'm basically trying to bait out a certain attack by hanging up here. Oh, no, he did the other one. Oh well. Alright, once he goes invisible again, the battle's basically won.
So that ball doesn't actually do like damage, it's like number of hits type of thing?
Yeah, exactly. So basically just spamming it with your regular beam is the way to go. And eventually he'll give you another easy chance to counter, and that's the end of the battle. And I have the Phantom Cloak. Simple as that. Corpus
Cool.
is a really good introduction boss because it's definitely harder than other introduction bosses. Like, it's harder than Torizo. It's harder than the Alpha Metroids. It's definitely harder than, like, even Kraid, honestly. But it's not, like, too hard, and you are given ample opportunity to learn how it moves and how to fight it.
Yeah, that is one thing I really love the boss design in this game. They did a really good job of making bosses that are fun to fight. but that totally kick your ass the first time you fight them.
Yeah, not always. There's like bosses. There's a series of bosses that I really hate. We'll get to them, and I'll talk about them. But for the most part, the game really knocks it out of the park with bosses. Oh. Something I don't know if you'll start to do it, but something I started to do is I basically learned exactly how many shots of each like type of weapon it takes to kill any given enemy. Oh, by the way, in dread mode, this fire will kill you. In hard mode, it doesn't, but in dread mode, you have to like wait for the fire there so it doesn't kill you.
Do heated rooms insta kill you in dread mode?
I don't know because I don't go into heated rooms without the various suit, basically. I don't think they kill you instantly because there's like some kind of difference between damage you actually take and environmental damage. Damage you take will kill you instantly. Those jets of flames count as that, but environmental damage, like dropping in lava, does not actually kill you instantly. I don't know what the distinction is exactly. It might be like things that your suit will make you immune to have to count as environmental damage.
Makes sense.
Anyway, true heroes always go left. Okay, so this guy, it takes 5 missiles to kill them, or you can just kill them instantly.
That's
Why
a lot
waste
more
5
effective than me.
missiles?
Yeah, I was always pelting them with missiles.
Yeah. There is one that I will have to kill with missiles because he's not in a position where I can easily counter him. But the other ones, you can just... You basically approach them, they instantly make themselves counterable, and you kill them. Simple as that. A lot of the damage sponge enemies are like that.
Yeah, I noticed that just on normal mode. There's a lot of enemies like, this guy takes a long time to kill. And then I countered him and he's like, oh, okay. I'm supposed to do that.
Yeah, other than bosses, counterattacks will kill any enemy instantly, no matter how tough it is. So it's definitely a good thing to keep in mind.
That is the kind of stuff that I do.
Enemies are very generous with health, thankfully.
Yeah, the stupid damage that you took there, that's all the damage I take all the time. I'm like, And like those little green bouncy ball shooting guys, like I don't know what it is, but like every time
That's the one I had to kill with missiles, by the way. That's the only guy I could counter him if I did a jumping counter, but I can't. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, nah, I wasn't saying anything important. And those guys, like, I get hit by those guys all the time. Because I'm not paying attention. There's a guy up there and he, like, dives at me. I'm like, oh, you're one of the diving guys. I remember that now that I'm dead.
This room really sucks in dread mode because it's hard to avoid everything, which is why I learned how to just run through it as quickly as possible. That cutscene was teaching you that you can use your stealth to avoid getting detected by enemies. They only chase you if they see you. But, like, helpful advice, but not actually that important.
Yeah, I found, like, most of the time, like, it doesn't really do anything. If you're in a position where you're hiding from an enemy with stealth, you're in a bad position. You need to just go somewhere else.
There are some spots where it's actually super valuable, but not for these first couple. For the speed booster in me, I would say that the stealth is really important because the speed booster in me can easily outrun you.
Yeah.
Go away. See, like this position right now, That's not a position I wanted to be in. Moving on.
Yep, and I found like in those positions, sometimes that Emmy will just come up and poke you anyway.
Yeah, exactly. The Emmys don't always play fair, but that's okay because I guess that adds to the tension. They're not supposed to play fair. They're supposed to be creepy, they're supposed to be scary. I get that.
I kind of get that. Greetings, Knight and Ace. Welcome to the chat.
Ace and Night. Oh crap! I forgot to bring your chat up, so I can't actually see what anyone is saying. But hello, those are two of my regular watchers. Knight is an amazing artist, and Ace is a good friend.
Well, welcome. I am learning all the things about Metroid Dread.
I'm gonna pull up your stream so I can see your chat. Like I should have done already.
Yes,
hang on.
us professional streamers would have done that already.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, there we go. I can see.
Yay!
Oh.
I have
You know,
done
I was going to pull up the stream and have it up, but then I was like, why would I need to though? And now I remember, oh right, stream chat is a thing.
Like on the note of being a professional streamer, I did .hack infection not too long ago, and I may have muted myself for like half of a stream. I have to go back and redub over at some point. Yep.
Oof, that's rough.
I was waiting for something like that to happen. I'm like, oh, this has been going too smooth. When am I going to record an episode and realize the mic is not on?
Oh no. In Dread mode, this is one of the hardest parts. You have a bunch of these flying guys, but... Okay, actually, something else you learn in Dread mode is where all the checkpoints are. Every time you enter an Emmy zone and every time you exit an Emmy zone, that's a checkpoint. But yeah, these little crawly guys, the guys like in the walls that come out and attack you, everything, that whole thing is just an absolute gauntlet to get through without getting hit. It's so rough.
One thing that I wonder about with this, like with hard mode, I can understand the cutscenes being in here, but with Dread mode, why didn't Nintendo just auto skip all the cutscenes? Nobody playing Dread mode is playing for the story.
I have to agree with you, but at the same time, I'm always of the opinion that you can't... Fuck, I fell on it. Yep, that happened. You can't go wrong with just giving people more options, basically. If, like, you allow people to watch the cutscenes if they want to, even though they're playing Dread mode, then fine. Where's the Emmy? I hate when I don't know where it is at all. But there he is. Cool. Hey, map room. Sometimes unfortunate things happen with the Emmys, and
Yep.
you just have to live with it. As you saw, after I died to the Emmy, I instantly went back to just before I entered his room. The checkpoint, like, it's saved when I entered, but the checkpoint, like, puts you just outside of it.
So in Dread mode, if you know you're going into a hard area, you could pop into an Emmy door to create a checkpoint.
Not necessarily, but in some cases, yes. Like, you might have noticed that I, like, left an Emmy zone and then immediately went back into it. That was kind of a bit of muscle memory on my part. I'm used to always, like, popping out of that door and going back in for the checkpoint.
Now, does that still work after you've killed the brain for the area and deactivated the Emmy?
After you actually defeat the Emmy, those checkpoints are gone. Every time you enter an Emmy room or exit an Emmy room, does not count as checkpoints anymore. It's only while the Emmy is still active. And that is a very important distinction, and why it's not always a useful way to keep your checkpoints. Yeah. Oh, I want to point out, before you deactivated the heat in this room, these heat jets will never turn off. You actually have to slide under them like I did.
I didn't know you could actually slide under a lot of those heat jets.
Only those ones in particular, because those are the ones that never turn off.
That has a lot of missiles.
I had to make a run for it. That Emmy just likes being in my way today. I'm having no Emmy luck. Okay, so something you should know about Emmys. Their spawns are relatively random. Son of a...
You were
Their
saying.
spawns are relatively random. Every time you enter an Emmy zone, the Emmy will basically half move. I'm actually going in the wrong direction anyway. I think I need to go this way.
I noticed that when I was playing the just through normal mode that the enemy is not always in the same spot every time I come through. Like when I come into a room, I notice that the enemies in the room typically always spawn in the same spot and then start moving. But enemies don't do that.
That's right. Yeah, it's really annoying because sometimes you'll have good Emmy luck and Emmy will never be in your way and you'll just be able to run right through. I had quite a bit of good Emmy luck in my deathless run the other day. But you can never count on it. And some plays, the Emmy is just always going to be right in the way. Son of a... Hang on. Those guys take 2 missiles to die. I wanted to get this piece of heart.
One thing that I say about the Emmys in this game, they kind of have the SAX problem. I don't know if you played Fusion or not.
Yeah, I played Fusion. I'm not a big fan of it, but I've definitely played it.
But I've always said the SAX has a problem in Fusion. Like the first time you play, yeah, the SAX is scary and it's dreadful when you're encountered or you're getting stalked by it. But after you've played the game 2 or 3 times, the SAX stops being scary and becomes more annoying than anything else.
Exactly like the Emmys, yeah. It goes from being something terrifying to being a nuisance. Because you cannot get around having to wait for it to go through its dumb patrol and leave. Because you can't do anything about it. You just have to, avoid it as best you can. And sometimes that involves waiting, which really kills the momentum a lot of the time.
Yeah, and that was one of the big problems that I always had with Fusion. Was that they didn't really do anything with the SAX after halfway through the game. And it wasn't even on subsequent playthroughs where the SAX started to get annoying. It was on the first playthrough. Just after you get the ability to survive touching the thing, you can literally just dance around it, jumping back and forth, and beat the AI. And you just had to wait on cutscenes for it every once in a while.
Speaking of things you have to wait for, these elevator and gondola rides are actually very valuable for a streamer, especially if you're just going full on, no cutscenes. These are the only breaks you get to drink water and stuff.
Yep.
So
I kept joking that I needed to bring elevator music.
I honestly have done the same, and I haven't yet. But yeah, I actually really like the gondolas and the elevators now because I do like that time to just chill and recuperate. So people complain about the long load times. Personally, I'm okay with it because those are the only load times in the whole game. Oh, I shouldn't have come this way. So I'm almost dead, as you can see, because I took a lot of stupid damage because I was doing stupid shit. Even as many times as I play this game, I can still get a little bit lost sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's a
Those
huge
guys take
area.
3 or 4 missiles to kill, and they have basically perfect accuracy. if they shoot at you, they will almost certainly hit you. I've only seen them miss a couple times, so just don't be in their don't be in their sight when they're ready to shoot. Kill them as quickly as you can. Mutalisks take 4 shots. I always call them mutalisks.
They are mutalisks. They look just like them.
Ow. I thought that was my 4th missile.
Those things are going to kill me all the time in Dread mode.
They shoot in very predictable ways, so it's actually not very difficult to avoid them. Honestly, it's the laser turrets that will really get you. You have to learn, like, when they're ready to fire, so you have to, like, get away. And, wrong way, I have to push this button. And you have to, like, count your missiles. They take 3 missiles to kill, and you cannot shoot them if you're just standing up. If you crouch and fire, though, you don't have to aim at them. So, that's good to know, right?
Yep. Anything that involves counting, I'm going to be bad at. One thing that killed me a lot were these little like Meat Boy saws. I don't know what they're called here. They're Meat Boy saws to me. And they kill me just as often.
I've got Wide Beam. I really wish they'd continue to call it Spazer. Spazer sounds a lot cooler than Wide Beam.
It does.
Now that I have Wide Beam, though, I can actually kill these guys faster by mashing than by missiles. Oop, oop. So basically, the way you went in is blocked, and you cannot go out the same way, so you're basically forced to go through this Emmy zone. And this is the Emmy zone that tells you about the Speed Booster Emmy, because I guess they decided that having an Emmy that is just, like, really fast is a good idea. Let's take our terrifying enemy that prowls around and make it really fucking fast.
I remember I had a hard time trying to beat that Emmy.
It's one of the harder ones, in my opinion. It's not the hardest one, actually. I'm struggling to think of an Emmy I have more trouble with. Well, that's close. I'm struggling to think of an Emmy that I have more trouble with than the Speed Booster one. But, by the way, we literally just popped into Dairon just to, like, grab the Wide Beam and meet the Speed Booster Emmy. And we're immediately going back to Catarus.
This is one thing I really need to pick up on this game is the order of item progression.
Like I said, I took notes, actually. I, went through this game, and every time I felt like, okay, this is the time where I need to use this elevator or use this gondola, I wrote it down, and every time I picked up an item, I wrote it down, and every time I defeated a boss or an Emmy, I wrote it down. So I knew, the item order, the boss order, and, the travel order, and that was honestly all I really needed to learn the game, so to speak.
That's what I'm going to be using this stream for, in fact. This stream is my notes. I am the fancy college kid that just takes a tape recorder to class and hits record.
So you don't want to shoot while you're cloaked because your energy will run out almost instantly. And
yes.
That Emmy was in a really annoying position. We're about to actually kill him, though, so it's alright. This is actually where I kill him. Hang on, I actually need to open this before I do this. He's easier to deal with if he has that avenue. I'll show you why later. So I always run out of missiles fighting this central unit. Because they take a lot of shots, and he doesn't fire his rings as much as the others. Oh, well, that would have killed me in Dread mode. Fortunately, this isn't Dread mode.
I see those little pea shooters on the wall giving me hell in Dread mode. I'm going to be dying to those all the time.
those pea shooters actually not so bad because they telegraph when they're about to attack. If you see a little flash, it's like, okay, this one's about to shoot. And their shots move really slowly. So you see how he's like moving down there and he's going through there? That is what I needed him to do. Because if he's like, if you don't do that, he'll come up from directly under you and he'll always want to come out on the side that you're on rather than like walk across this little killing floor that I have here. So that's why I needed to destroy that block to give him that avenue of, ingress.
I would never have thought about that.
And now I've got Morphing Ball. One of the first items you get in most Metroid games, and you get it like third or fourth. I that you get the Spacer before you get the Morph Ball.
I love that they put it so deep in the game. Because everybody, like including me, the first time I played it's like, okay, this is where I get Morph Ball, right? And I'm like, what feels like halfway through the game, and they finally give you Morph Ball, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just played like an hour of this game without the ability to morph. I've not played 5 minutes in any other Metroid game without the ability to morph.
I also want to point out that it's really nice that they give you Spring Ball just by default.
Yes.
You basically have Spring Ball. You can jump in ball form right away. No other power-up needed. Because in Super Metroid, the way I always play through it, I skip Spring Ball because I never have the grapple beam. Also, it's a pain in the ass to get it even with grapple beam. So,
well, that is one of the things that I liked about Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission is that they tied Spring Ball in with the high jump boots.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good move too. I agree. So yeah, this teleportal red. This is the one time where you use a teleportal to get back after using it. I want to. Okay, I've got to go off on a tangent about the teleportals though. I hate them. I think the teleportals are bad game design. I feel like instead of making like an organically interconnected world that with like special shortcuts for you to discover, they just threw these in as a shortcut, and it's so lazy. It's such lazy game design.
I can see that.
Now, I kind of like them, like when you're on a 100% run, and you basically have free movement. Oh, that part right there, where I just dropped down here and started shooting those little guys, that will kill you in Dread mode. Those little guys, just touching them, will murder you instantly, and they like to hang out directly under the teleportal.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, yep, that would kill me.
Yeah. Obviously, I know how to, like, avoid damage there because I've played this game Dread mode 3 times like a mad woman, but... yeah, I was stuck on that screen for my first Dread mode run for quite a while before I finally managed to get through without dying to those little guys. Hey, big guy. I don't know how many shots those guys typically take. Also, that's really rude, having this little guy, like, right here. Because that's where you're going to want to stand to charge up your beam to get through this door. And if you're in Dread mode, that will kill you. That's why, you saw I, put my face right up against the door when I started charging my beam. Because I know about that guy, and I know he kills you. Everything in this escape sequence will kill you in Dread mode.
Does lava kill you in one shot in Dread mode?
I already said no.
Oh, you did? Did I ask that before?
I don't think you asked that question specifically, but I went on a bit of a tangent when you asked if heated rooms kill you in Dread mode. And I didn't actually know the answer. So yeah, in Dread mode I would have just died because I took a tiny bit of damage from that fire jet right at the end. You have to learn exactly where you need to move at every point in that whole escape sequence. Oh, right, I'm skipping cutscenes. Sorry, I really like to not skip the suit upgrade cutscenes because they're actually really cool.
Yep.
I love Samus's suit design in Dread.
I do, but I have to say I love the power suit design more than the other two. The blue and white just works.
I like the gravity best, honestly. But yeah, the blue and white definitely works better in this. Okay, so right here, you see this lava? Obviously, I'm not immune to it yet, but this will not kill you instantly in Dread mode. In fact, I'm pretty sure it does less damage to you in Dread mode than it does in Hard mode. Because instead of like tuning the overall damage you take from everything up in Dread mode, they just make it so damage kills you, and I don't think they did that for things like lava. So there's a little interesting tidbit.
So you would say Dread mode would be more like normal mode with just one hit KO turned on?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mentioned earlier. I feel like okay. So I always use the synergy thing because of I lost a lot of health with my thing. So you're forced. You cannot destroy these until you have the diffusion laser after trade. So this teleportal is basically the only way to get out of here. I think that's really lazy game design too. Just like it organically drops you on top of the teleportal, like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to use this now. But they don't like leave this avenue open for future exploration until you get another power up, and that's really annoying to me.
Yeah, I've always not enjoyed arbitrary barriers and things that they put in games. But I understand like why they're there. They're a quick and dirty way to solve a problem that would require a lot more work to solve another way.
I will say that for the most part, I actually approve of the way they do things with like cutting off avenues in this game, because it basically stops players from having to do a lot of like completely lost wandering. Basically, like if you go through a pathway and it cuts off behind you, like it becomes a point of no return, oh, there's something I need to get here. There's like, I'm going to have to find another way to get to areas that I've been to before. I can't use this way again. And for the most part, I like that. It's just that one case with the teleportal is a little too arbitrary, in my opinion. Like, it comes out of nowhere. It's not something like you did that blocked off your future progress. Also, I like this little gauntlet because, like, these guys are supposed to be really hard to deal with in these small enclosed spaces, but you just counter them and move on. But yeah, like, for the most part, I like that the game world opens up and shifts with your actions. It's just that one spot that I don't.
I will agree with that. Like, one of my favorite things that this game does is...
Okay, I'm gonna watch this cutscene because I love Samus's sass towards Kraid. She has so much sass. She's like, oh, this is interesting. What's in here? And she sees Kraid and is like, oh, it's you.
I love her sass throughout the whole game. It's just absolutely perfect.
Hey, Kraid, how you doing? She just completely relaxes her stance, has just no flinching or anything, just casually shoots him in the face. Just so much attitude. And this is the Samus that the fans wanted. Not the whiny one from Other Rim, but the one that just sasses this giant monster.
Yeah. That's like everything about Samus's attitude in this game is absolutely perfect. I mean, that's one of the things that made me fall in love with this game immediately. This cutscene here and the cutscene from the first boss, where you actually kill him and she's just in the background casually walking behind him, charging up her laser at the same time. I'm like, yep. Like, just little things like that.
Come on. There it goes. So you basically just duck, avoid the spikes, and then you get an elevator up.
Oh,
and
you can...
does that after you've shot his thing enough times.
I didn't know you could just duck. I thought you had to morph to dodge those. I didn't know you could counter that swipe either. Okay, that's cool. I don't think I've ever got that counter before.
It puts you if you stay up there, so you have to drop down. Oh, cool. He's just letting me right back up. Thanks, Kraid. I appreciate it. I don't know why this kills Kraid, because, like, he's sitting in the lava. Why does falling into it kill him?
I mean, does it? Do we know that he's dead?
At any rate, he's dead. Samus doesn't give a fuck. The Kraid fight is so much fun. Also, as you can see, I just took no damage there. But it's actually really difficult to fight Kraid in Dread mode. Like, he is a boss that has killed me many times in Dread mode boss rushes. Just because you cannot always predict what exactly he's going to do, and a lot of his moves move in kind of funky ways that are kind of hard to, like, lock down and avoid or, you know, just destroy. Oops. It's not going that way. I'm going this way. So, man, I keep getting sidetracked. Like, I keep going off on tangents. So, like I said, I feel like the game was designed around the hard mode. Like, it feels like things are tuned to do the damage they do in hard mode intentionally. Like, more than normal mode. It feels like they designed hard mode, and then are like, this is actually too hard for our casual players. So then they, like, halved the damage, and it's like, all right, this is normal mode now. And then they, like, halved it again, and, like, this is the easy mode. Because it feels like the amount of hits you take in hard mode is the amount of hits that they, like, the developers intended, if that makes any sense. Like, they want you to learn the maps, and they want you to learn how to avoid the attacks and the enemies and the bosses. I think that's also why they threw in Dread mode, to really drive that point home.
You may be onto something there, because Nintendo does have a history of doing that.
It's Nintendo in this case. I think it's like the, whatever the special developers that specifically designed this game. I think this is like their baby, basically.
It wouldn't surprise me if Nintendo had input to say, "Hey, you need to make an easy mode for this," because they've had that problem in the past, and I think it started with Mario Brothers 2 when Nintendo of America rejected it. They started, like, going out of their way to make sure that everything had an easier setting for North America, and they've never really lost that mentality. I think the first game that actually featured that was Mega Man 2, where Japan only has hard mode, but they made easy mode or normal mode, I think it was called, for the North American release of it.
So I always have a lot of trouble figuring out where to go in this specific Emmy zone. I know all of the wrong ways, but I don't always remember the right way. This specific Emmy zone is very... Son of a bitch. That was my own stupidity. Out of my way, I need to go this way.
You got the counter, that was good.
Yeah, that was lucky. That was pure luck, let me tell you. There's no skill to it. This is the wrong way.
I find that's the case, like, pretty much all of the time with Emmy counters. I don't know of anybody who can just get them.
I don't think even speedrunners can. Like, guys who live this game, I don't think they're meant... I don't think you're meant to be able to do that. Also, you'll notice that there's a lot of these little... I'm back where I started. Holy shit, I did it again. Okay, let me look at my map. Remind myself of this area.
Top right, maybe?
You know, you're probably right. That's probably what keeps getting me. I'm trying to go like left, and I'm not supposed to go left yet because I don't think I can. Unless I can get to that door there. That might actually be the door I need to go through. I'm gonna try it.
Yep, it's either that door or all the way up in the top right.
Seriously though, giving an Emmy speed booster was really mean of them. Nope, not this way. That was the wrong door. Son of a bitch! That was really dumb of me. Failed that time. It's okay. I got a checkpoint when I like left and re-entered. Hopefully, when I re-enter again, he won't spawn directly in my path. Of course he is. Please turn around. Nope.
This is the luck.
Crap,
Oh,
3 times.
yeah, 3 counters is good.
This is the wrong spot. Where am I supposed to be going right now? Where was I wanting to go? I think I want to go through that door, but I can't. So, I'm an idiot who's cornered myself multiple times, getting lost in this Emmy zone. I don't think I've ever been this lost in this Emmy zone. Like, I've been lost in this Emmy zone every time I've played it, but I don't think I've ever been this lost. So, the problem with your ion meter, which you're using for your stealth, is it basically only recharges when you move, and when you move, that triggers the Emmy hearing you.
Yep. I noticed that when I was playing too. I was trying to like stand still and recharge. I'm like, this isn't working.
4 times! That was unpleasant.
See, had that been me, that Amy would have just poked me anyway.
I wish he hadn't gone that way, in particular. I'm gonna hang out here for a little bit longer. Because I'm pretty sure up here is where I need to go.
And now you know the Emmy is always in front of you.
Yep, this is definitely the way I need to go, and I need him to be far away from here. Hey, buddy. Yep. I would have figured he would have heard that. Oh well, I'm not complaining. Okay, I made it. This is the way I'm supposed to be going. I always remember that it's left, I never remember where it is. Oh. I anticipated his charge a little bit too much. There we go.
One thing I do love.
Room, it's turned off.
Yeah, I missed that map room during my normal playthrough.
What? Oh, you didn't come back for it, you mean?
I came back for it like right at the end when I was doing like the last little collectathon.
Ah.
Because I remember running through a map room, but I couldn't remember where it was. And because I didn't have the map, it wasn't like illuminated. So I'm like, is that a map room? I don't know. And then I kept forgetting about it.
As you see, now that the power is on, this room is cold. You cannot go in there without the gravity suit. I thought that was interesting. Like, you got to go through a room in the dark that you couldn't go back to when it was light.
I do like how they did that, and they did it in a couple of different areas. Like the whole starting area, freezing that whole area, and making you go back and like turn the like thermal generator thing back on. I thought that was
really cool too.
That was brilliant.
I like picking up maps, even though I don't like saving. Picking up a map, even if you don't save, still counts as a checkpoint. So, you know, I didn't save there, but if I die, I'll be going back to that spot. I'm probably not going to die to regular enemies in this run, but if I do, I know where the checkpoints are. Hey, I got the Morph Ball Bomb. You can apparently get this before trade if you know how, but I never do. And I don't know how.
Yeah, I've seen people talk about that, but I've never seen the method to actually get this before create. But I know you can like morph and go into that little hole on his belly. Apparently, put bombs in there. Those little guys right there are going to kill me in Dread mode.
Yeah, probably. They're easy to counter, but you have to see them coming.
Yep.
This game is just full of these little tiny 2 missile tanks. Do I wish that all missile tanks were 5 missiles like in Super? Of course. But I do kind of like that there's 10 missile tanks. And honestly, they put so many in it that even like 2 at a time, you still end up getting a lot more missiles than like any other Metroid game. Alright, cool.
I like that they
didn't waste very much
reduce
time
the
in
ammo
those,
too.
This time because I knew where I was going. Later, buddy. That guy's annoying to fight. You can counter him, but he takes forever to wind up. So I like to just roll under him.
I think by the time I was like halfway through normal mode, I was just running by that guy as well. That's something that I picked up in the original Metroid for the NES. Don't fight the enemies, just run past them. Fighting things is a good way to die.
Yeah, if you can't avoid them, you probably should in the original Metroid, because health is something that is so much harder to get back. Basically, if you want health, you just find one of those pipes that constantly spawns those things that fly at you, and just farm for a while.
Yep. And that holds true for pretty much every Metroid game. Like, fighting things is a good way to get killed.
I'm not sure I agree with that, because honestly, like, things that are hard to avoid are usually easy to kill, and things that are, like, really hard to kill, there's usually an easy method of dealing with them. So, honestly, I really enjoy how they handled combat in this game overall.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
The whole game is just tuned very well, and honestly, it's amazing. Honestly, I can't say enough good things about how Metroid Dread turned out, which is crazy because I was not expecting it to turn out well at all.
Yeah.
So these guys, you can kill instantly, or nigh instantly with a grapple beam, or it takes like 20,000 missiles. And honestly, like, I've tried to just run past them before, it's not possible. So, yeah, because they do that whole, like, sweeping laser thing. It reminds me of Axiom Verge, actually.
Oh yeah, those laser guys like on the walls?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this.
Adam. I hate Adam. He kills momentum, too.
So
like,
how...
Adam, you still have to... Oh, shit! So, that guy has killed me so many times in Dread mode, because as soon as you leave this door, you have to be holding left, and you have to counter him as soon as you reach him, or his little babies will come out and they will kill you. Honestly, that guy has killed me even in hard mode quite a few times. Just because I'm always thinking about Adam and how much I hate him, and then I leave that room and I'm like, oh shit, I need to be holding left. Oh, wait. I think just shooting is fine. I was thinking I need to missile here, but I don't.
So, on your first playthrough, how far through the game were you when you figured out that wasn't Adam?
I'm sorry, what? Oh, actually, I had already, like, known, because I watched a friend's playthrough before I ever actually bought the game. I wasn't going to buy Metroid Dread originally, because of just... I wasn't expecting it to be good. Simple as that. I haven't had a good Metroid game in so long that I just had no hope for it. And then I saw my friend playing it, I'm like, this actually seems pretty fun. And then I got it myself, and I'm like, this is actually fun. And then like a year later, I'm like, I kind of want to stream this, but I don't want to stream that is like split into multiple parts or takes too long. So I'm going to practice it. And as I was practicing it, that's when I sort of learned like all of these little things that like the game is even better than I thought on my first playthrough. That like all of the little intricacies that I learned in subsequent playthroughs, like the game just felt more and more satisfying as I got better at it. And even to this day, I absolutely love playing this game just all the time.
I must say I was pleasantly surprised with the quality of Metroid Dread. Cause especially with how long, like the development, I don't know if you know about the development cycle of this game, but Metroid Dread was a game that was leaked back in like 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Like even before Zero Mission and the remakes and stuff started coming out, there were rumors of another Metroid game called Dread. And then the rumors just stopped, and we didn't hear about it like for 10 years. And then all of a sudden they said, oh, we have Metroid 4. And when the moment they said it was called Dread, like everybody I know from like the Metroid scene back in the day, just like immediately like, wait, Dread? You mean that Dread? The one we heard about like 15 years ago, Dread? Like, yep.
This is Metroid 5. 4 is Fusion.
Did I say 4? I meant 5.
Yeah, you said 4.
I meant to say 5.
It's fine.
But,
okay, so
yeah.
Something I really hated, like at first, but kind of respect now, they give you these underwater sections before you're possibly able to get the gravity suit. In fact, you have to go through a long underwater section to get the gravity suit. And that really annoyed me because I thought that it's basically a game design flaw to give you an environmental hazard that you cannot, like, you are not equipped to deal with until after you've been through the environmental hazard. Just like the various suit in Other M. But, honestly, they gave you strong enough, like, you're not absolutely helpless underwater like you are in, like, Super. Like, you still have pretty good movement. You still have like a decent range of motion. Like you're slower, sure, but like you're still able to climb up like this and stuff. Like you're still able to traverse freely. And honestly, you know, I thought about it, I'm like, actually not bad game design, surprisingly enough. And it definitely feels a lot better when you do get the gravity suit, you know?
Yes, I actually completely agree with that. I love the fact that it makes you go through underwater segments without the gravity suit. I think it builds appreciation for it when you actually get the gravity suit. And I think it's a nod to speedrunners of the game because there's a lot of times in Super Metroid there are categories where you have to go through Meridia before you get the gravity suit. And I think it's kind of a nod to that. I'm actually surprised that they don't make you do any hell runs in this.
I think they took the lesson from Other M to heart. They were like, okay, people really, really hated the hell run in Other M. Yep. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
There are optional hell runs. They do like present you with heated rooms that you're easily able to access long before you get the various suit.
Yeah, I like
just it. It's optional.
Yeah, I like that they put it in there, and I'm sure at some point speedrunners are going to figure out how to manipulate that. But it's a lesson that it's one of the things I think Super Metroid did by accident. Super Metroid is very good about not letting you get into a situation that you can't get out of. Because typically most of the time the skill you need to get into a location is the skill you need to get out. With like one or two glaring exceptions. Because, like,
Anyway, we're about to destroy the speed booster. I mean, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry.
Nah, I get sidetracked easy. I'll come back to it in a minute.
Barring exceptions to you're able to get out of a location after you go into it. And I assume you're talking about, like, Brinstar, the red Brinstar?
No. The main exception I was thinking about was the Etikun shaft.
Oh, yeah.
They just kind of dump you down there, and you gotta figure out how to wall jump to get out. Most of the other time, like areas that you have to mockball to get out of, you typically have to mockball to get into. Some areas that you single wall jump to get into, you have to single wall jump to get out of. So the skill needed to get into those areas is the same skill needed to get out. And I think that happening so many times in Super Metroid was kind of a fluke. But I think it's a lesson that they tried to implement on purpose in Metroid Dread.
Speed booster Emmy is always so stressful for me. It always gets so close, and I'm always so scared. Because that's, like, all the way down here is the one spot I've ever found where I can consistently take it down in time. And you saw, like, it just comes at you at full speed, and it's just, like, that's why they give you the flash shift right before you do this. Because without the flash shift, it's very difficult to keep ahead of this thing. That's, like, your one way to actually outrun it. Anyway, I've got my favorite power-up in this game now. I love Speed Booster in this game. I hate that they bound it to, like, clicking in the movement stick, but I love everything else about it.
Yeah, I dislike having to click the stick to activate any ability in any game. But I do like the way the Speed Booster works in this game.
Watch this.
I love this. Being able to just kick off the walls with it.
That's how you get this Missile Plus tank. That's as far as I can tell, that's the developer intended way of getting that power up, and I love that about it. And also, it's like the fastest way to get to where you're going too. Like, it's both a cool trick, you get a power up, and you're, like, rewarded, and it's where you're supposed to be going anyway. It's beautiful game design.
Yep. I love the Speed Booster puzzles in this game. They're not the elementary ones that are in Super Metroid, but they're not the batshit crazy ones that are in Zero Mission.
Oh, right. Needs to be speed boosting. After you get the speed booster, you gotta speed boost a lot. Obviously. They want you to use your cool new power-up.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the quickest way of getting to this teleportal, which is the next teleportal you want to use. If you don't use this teleportal, you can just walk all the way back to this part of Arteria. And it's kind of funny, like, they teleport you to Arteria, you get one power-up, and then you come back to Dairon.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But, I mean, it kind of feeds into why I hate the teleportals so much. Because, like, they know how to do organic, interconnected worlds, and yet they do this. So lazy.
Yeah.
One point of laziness in an overall, like, very well-crafted game, I can forgive.
I think if they end up doing a Metroid 6, we probably won't see teleportals appear in that one.
I suppose they're thematically appropriate in this world, though. Like, it makes sense that the Chozo that lived here, like, wanted a more convenient way of getting around because they're very technologically focused here, unlike the other Chozo, which are more tribal. These guys are more militaristic, more practical. The Makin tribe, I think they're called. It's been a while since I've actually watched the story.
Yeah, I think they're called Malkin. I've kind of given up on the Metroid story.
Oh, this is the last power-up you get before you have to fight 3 bosses in a row. They're not like one right after the other, but you don't get any power-ups in between these next 3 bosses. But you do get 2 power-ups right after you do them. Also, I do love how they turned Grapple Beam from a power-up I never get to a power-up I actually really enjoy using. Just by making it so you have a lot more things you can grapple.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got the Grapple Beam, we're leaving Arteria. We're going back to Dairon immediately. As soon as we get that power-up, like, the teleportal just takes us here to get the power-up, and then we immediately go back to where we were. It's so funny.
I do love the implementation of the grapple beam in this game. Because, like, you can use it a lot of the same ways in Super Metroid. Like, it does a wicked amount of damage when you actually shoot enemies with the thing. But, like, the main function, swinging from the blocks, I don't think that's really any better.
Yeah. Something I do really like about how they have a very consistent design philosophy with the grapple beam, and that very much works to its credit. Literally anything that's glowing blue in this game is grappleable. And, like, they don't really tell you that, but they show you that in a lot of ways. And some of them are more subtle than others. Like, the very last... Okay, you know what? I'll tell you about it when we get there, because it's actually something I really like. Also, I destroyed the speed booster block earlier just so I could save myself time to get through here. Because we're moving to a new area. We're going to Ferenia for the first time.
Bam.
It's always really cool when you get to Ferenia, because this is where the plot really starts to take hold.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, oh, I'm finally going to an area that's, like, very noticeably higher up than I've been before. Like, Cataris was, like, going towards the surface, but then you were basically on the same level for a while. Like, you were at the same altitude, and obviously, like, right when you start, your goal is, okay, I need to get back to my ship. It's on the surface, I need to go up. So, like, this is a very real step up after stagnating at that other altitude for so long. And then you finally, like, for the first time meet, like, an actual living Chozo in the game that isn't trying to kill you.
Yep, that's actually, I think, the first time in the series that we meet a living Chozo. A living good guy Chozo.
Anyway, this boss is a pain in the ass. This is one of the hardest bosses in Dread mode, and you'll notice I am quite good at avoiding his attacks. Not that one, though. Because his attacks are very hard to avoid,
Yep.
and you have to learn them, and he takes so many hits to die. He takes 40 missiles.
That's entirely too many missiles.
My first Dread mode run, it literally... Okay, so while I was fighting that boss, a friend of mine that I hang out with on Discord started playing Castlevania. My friend had almost beaten Castlevania in the time it took me to finally take down that one boss. That's another fun little speed booster puzzle. I like that one. It's actually my least favorite because I get, like, caught up on the wall jumps, making my way, like, up that little shaft. But I love all the speed booster puzzles, so it's, like, my least favorite delicious dessert, you know?
Yeah, I think it took me like 3 or 4 tries to get that one. The one that took me the most was the one where you have to, like, charge up in like a little T-shaped room, and then go through a door, and then turn and go down, and then shoot through a wall, and then fall halfway down and speed boost into a ramp, then run
That's
off.
my favorite one.
Uh,
What you're describing now is by far my favorite. I know exactly the one you're talking about. It's in
yep.
Barinia, and it's the one that gives you a shortcut to the gravity suit, and we're definitely going to see that one.
Yeah.
Adam.
That was it was fun figuring that out. Because it's like you figure out one step and then you hit something like, oh, okay, now I have to do this here. And then you go to the next step, and there's like 6 or 7 steps to actually go through the entire thing. But once you put the whole sequence together, you just feel like a badass.
Oh, absolutely. And the game is really good at making you feel like a badass for figuring shit out like that.
Yep. And that's
So,
one of the things I love about not only Metroid, but Metroid Dread in particular.
Oh, right, I can't get that. So, this sequence right here is something that I've been trying to figure out a solution for a while. So, what happened was, in the cutscene, just before we beat the boss, Quiet Robe opened up a new pathway in Barinia. I cannot figure out a quick way of getting to Barinia. Because you have to just pass through basically the entire... I think it's the wrong way. You have to basically pass through the entirety of Dairon to get there. And, like, going through the Emmy zone is fine for that. Okay. I need to go this way. So, basically, it's just like Return of the Speed Booster Emmy zone. It's the worst. Okay, here we are. We're finally heading towards Barinia. I also like that, like, even when you're still in one area, like, every area has its own personality. It has its own, like, theme. So, you've got Alterio, which is, like, derelict laboratory zone. You've got Cataris, which is, like, lava heat zone. You've got Dairon, which is, like, advanced technology zone. And Barinia, which is like underwater, and Farinia, which is like ancient sacred temple. I like that the zones sort of bleed into each other. So like even though I was still in Dairon, it was like there's coral on the walls and there's like puddles of water all over the place. I really like that about it.
Yeah, I know what you mean about it. It's like they kind of blended it. To where, like, if you didn't have, like, the loading zones, you could almost see these areas just, like, straight connecting into each other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that might be what they were going for in the first place. Obviously, I don't know their design process. I keep forgetting about this guy on this run. I've never forgotten him before, but now I am. Hey, we got 4 pieces of heart. Hooray. Oh, wait. No. I have to... get to that. Okay, so these guys, now that I've got the grapple beam, I can just pull their face off. Did you notice there was a little blue dot on him?
Mm-hmm.
There's just a little blue glowing dot on that little enemy in particular to let you know, hey, there's an easier way that you could be dealing with this guy. Just try your grapple beam. See what happens. That's a very well hidden missile, and I kind of appreciate it. This is the spot that Quiet Beak opened up, by the way. Like, all he does is move this block upwards. And that's honestly all he needed to do. That was annoying. He would have killed me many times over.
Yep.
Oh,
I was thinking that. Like, oh, in Dread mode, you'd be so dead.
Yeah. What I usually would do is shoot missiles at him from outside of there, but I didn't do that, and I felt really dumb. They take 4 missiles, by the way. Or 5, maybe. I think it's 4. So yeah, that's... Anyway, moving on. These guys are like the other guys that shoot their babies at you, but they're way easier.
Yeah.
Because they don't shoot babies at you, they just shoot like one little glob. I don't know why they put the easier ones further in the game, but they did, and I'm not going to complain.
I think I
Okay, so you
missed
see
that
he's
missile
got this
pack.
blue glowing dot on him? Yeah, he's always got that little blue glowing dot, and a lot of people don't, like, register, hey, that means you can use your grapple beam on him. But I think it's a nice touch. It's something very subtle. It's consistent design.
That is
It's
one
very
thing I will
smart
give.
development.
I will give Metroid, because they've been doing it for several different Metroid games. They color code the weapons, so you know what weapons can be used on what things. Like the yellow flash always indicates a counter in this game. Purple always indicates use a bomb on it. Blue is always an indication of grapple beam. Like I like that kind of color coding.
I do too. Oh, that's so close.
I also like the way they handled missiles in this game. Just making super missiles an upgrade, I think, was fantastic.
I do like upgrading to super missiles. I don't like that you immediately... Like, I hate ice missiles. I hate everything about ice missiles. I hate the concept of ice missiles, everything. This is Dragaiga. He's actually one of the bosses I have an easier time with.
This was always the boss that I had the most trouble with until I figured out, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. And once I figured out the pattern, like, this guy was a piece of cake.
He's literally a puzzle boss, and that makes him so easy.
Yep, because once you have it figured out, like, it's just following the order of operations.
And that's all there is to it. So, keep in mind, the last pickup I got was the grapple beam. That was the second boss I fought since getting the grapple beam. I still have not gotten any other items. It's still just grapple beam. They use it in interesting ways, but they sure don't reward you for these bosses.
Yep.
I think that's why a lot of obviously a lot of speedrunners skip Dragaiga because they, like, there's no reason to fight it. But, like, there's not a reason to fight it because it's not guarding a power-up or anything. Like, obviously the speedrunners are going to skip it. It doesn't reward you for that boss. Yeah, I mentioned before, like, it really feels like the plot is moving once you're in Farania, and this is just another aspect of it. Like, yeah, you have to backtrack through a zone you've basically already cleared, but then, like, you go into Barinia and you see how, like, the world changed a little bit because of that scene with Quiet Robe, and you get to, like, climb up and you enter this completely new area that's, like, it's like, oh, I'm on the surface now. I can, like, see the sunlight streaming through. I'm in a forest. Like, you're still in a cave, sure, but, like, you're close to the surface now. Your, like, journey upwards has gotten you, like, you're almost there, or it feels like that, you know? Wait, is this the wrong way? I think this is the wrong way.
I am not sure. Like, at this point, I was trying to figure out where to go next, because my knowledge of where to go had ended.
Alright, here's the third boss.
I remember this guy.
All of these robot Chozo warriors, I hate them. I hate all of them. They're so hard to fight. They're so hard to deal with. They take so many hits.
Yeah, I'm not too fond of these guys either.
Good, I got him. Obviously, I would have died in Dread Mode. That one took me a while
Yep.
too, obviously. Because you're not any stronger than you were after the last one you fought, but that one is definitely harder. And that's the one you fight in the Dread Mode boss rush, or in the boss rush in general. So, yeah.
The one part of those that I hate is when we have to fight two of them at the same time. The gold and the silver one.
Yeah. I appreciate that you go through this room and you can see, like, the Emmy is here, but it's deactivated. I think that's a really nice touch. It's like, oh, this room is still very creepy because the Emmy's still alive, but, like, it's deactivated, so you feel like on top of the world. You're like, oh, I don't have to worry about Emmys anymore. All the Emmys have been shut down. I can just make progress. I'm getting places. It's so cool.
That is one thing. Like we touched on that before, but one of the things I really like about Metroid is the power creep dynamic. Metroid is really good about showing you how weak you are at the start of the game, but then by the end of the game, you're just like a badass that owns everything. And
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if they were like planning for that in games like Super Metroid. It just like ended up that way, but you definitely can see it in Metroid Fusion by having you face off against the SAX at the end of the game. Like, because they know that you're a badass at that point. You've got all of your suit upgrades unlocked, and now, like, the SAX is not a threat to you anymore. And they really lean into that in this game, and I really like that. By the time you pick up the screw attack, you are invincible.
So I don't want to, gloss over the fact, after so long waiting, I had to fight 3 bosses in a row with no power-ups. They immediately give you super missiles. And I love this moment in the game, because the super missiles have all of the impact that super missiles absolutely deserve. It's like, holy shit, I have 105 super missiles. I can kill things in one shot. This is amazing. And then they immediately ruin that. But they don't ruin it until after they give you one of the other best power-ups in Super Metroid. Like, okay, so you have to fight 3 bosses in a row without picking up any power-ups, but you get 2 of the best power-ups in Super Metroid, like, in a row after that. And I love that.
Yep.
The super missiles and then plasma beam right off the bat. It's pretty incredible.
I think it's really interesting that they valued the wave beam above the plasma beam in this game.
I thought that was interesting too, but I definitely agree with the decision.
Yeah, because the secondary effects of the beams, which they kind of put into place in Metroid Prime. Well, I guess no Super Metroid 2, but they didn't like come right out and say it. That the wave beam shoots through walls and the plasma beam shoots through enemies.
Yeah, actually they do very cleverly show you exactly like how the plasma beam works and what it can do as soon as you get it.
Yeah, with the little pile of things in that hallway in Super Metroid.
Yeah, and like that's the only place there. So then the game is like, all right, well, you got super missiles now. Hey, you remember those X parasites we were talking about before? They're here. And the rest of the game is suddenly about X parasites. They have crashed the game. This is their game now. And I'm kind of okay with that. It's like, it raises the stakes.
Yeah.
It raises the stakes at exactly the right time. Where you're feeling really powerful and really invincible. And it's just like, oh, guess who's back? But you don't have to deal with the sex, which is nice. Alright, this is a kind of a it's like a mini speed booster puzzle, but a very satisfying one.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm a huge fan of them.
Speed booster puzzles that I don't do in my run, but I really like speed booster puzzles, so I did my best to include most of them.
Plasma beam.
Oh yeah. I am a bit disappointed. The plasma beam doesn't feel as powerful and badass as it did in Super Metroid. But in Super
Yep.
Metroid, like, the more important thing about the plasma beam... Oh, that's the wrong way. The more important thing about the plasma beam wasn't that it could pierce enemies, it's that it was a huge firepower upgrade. You went from, like, all of the enemies in this area take 4 or 5 shots to you can one-shot everything. Until you get to Ridley's lair. Which,
Yeah.
you know, is just... It's ramping up the difficulty to give you, like, a fun gameplay experience. They have, you know, a mounting difficulty curve. And a very fair one. They might have over-tuned the enemies in Ridley's lair a little bit, but then they give you the screw attack fairly early on into it, so kind of balances out. I'm amused. Okay, so you fight your first Chozo warrior after you fought 2 of the robot Chozo warriors, and after you get super missiles. So these guys are so much easier, and you wouldn't think that they should be. Why are they easier than the robots that replaced them?
I don't know. Like, I feel like from a design standpoint, that these fights are better designed than the other robot guys are.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Like, this is a much better balanced fight. But you also have to remember, these guys are more like mini-bosses. You don't just fight the one. You have to be fighting these guys, like, in their palette swaps for the rest of the game. Like, right up to the end. Oh, I don't go up in there. I could go up in there, and there's power-ups to be had, but I don't care enough. So it's like, oh no, all of the X-parasites have been let out. This is a disaster.
Yep.
And, like, immediately so you're given the super missiles. The enemies that are in Gavaran die to 1 hit to super missiles. And then you go back, and the X-parasites have buffed them, and now they take 3 super missiles. It's like, here's your power, and now it's gone.
Yep. But, like, at the same time, like, it doesn't feel cheap the way that they did it. Because you're like, oh, well, this is kind of my fault because I opened the door.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel unfair. It feels like a natural progression. It feels like, you know, this is what should be happening. Like, the stakes have been raised. This is no longer, I need to get back to my ship. This is, I need to stop the X-parasites again. And it's really smart the way they did it.
Yep. And
missile tanks.
Like
Another
my
miniature speed booster puzzle.
My favorite weapon in Metroid by far is the screw attack.
Yeah.
I love
That's
the
a
way the
popular
screw
one.
attack. I love the way it feels in this game.
Yeah, screw attack is definitely a popular go-to for the whole series. Personally, I'm a fan of the screw attack, but I'm glad that you get it right at the end, because it does not feel fair to get it any earlier than that. I also feel like not everything in this game dies instantly to screw attack. Some things take multiple screw attack bumps to hit. Certain things are immune to it.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that because there's a lot of the robots. I made the joke you kind of have to Sonic the Hedgehog bounce off a couple of the guys to actually kill them with the screw attack.
Okay, so that part is kind of stressful, getting past the ice enemy, especially in Dread mode. So when he sees you, he freezes you.
Yep,
Wait,
I remember that
I think
guy.
This is a map room. Yeah, it's a map room. The thing is, that freeze does a tiny bit of damage, which means in Dread mode, it kills you instantly. So the ice enemy is the most dangerous enemy Because unlike the others that have to catch you to kill you, the ice enemy can kill you by looking at
Well, I would think the wave beam Emmy would be the most dangerous one because he can just like snipe you through walls and shit.
you. He can potentially, but his projectiles move really slowly and are actually rather predictable. So, like, the ice enemy is actually way more scary as a result because you don't know when he's just going to randomly decide to glance in your direction, and then that's instant death. Oh, there's a couple left.
See, like things like that is what was going to be killing me all the time in Dread Mode. Like, I think I killed them all. Nope, there was one little bug hanging out.
It's really important not to forget about your flash shift in that room specifically, because without flash shift, that room is very difficult to get to while evading the ice enemy. And I'm glad that he decided to be friendly with me, because sometimes he is between me and the exit, and that is the worst. I don't have to fight that guy, and he takes a lot of hits, so...
Yeah.
So yeah, seriously, do not forget about flash shift. It is useful for bosses, it's useful for traversal, it's a really good move. Oh hey, okay, I got it. I was done with the last one anyway. This is what I call my favorite room. You have to go through this room no less than 5 times in this game. And 4 of those times, you have to slowly go through this bombable block hallway.
Yep, I remember that.
But you absolutely need the spin boost to progress beyond this point. So you actually, you have to go through that room twice to get to the speed boost and to get back from getting the spin boost.
I like the spin boost as an item. I think it's a good addition.
It's a good concept, but they didn't give it enough time to shine. You honestly get the space jump way too soon after you get the spin boost for it to really feel like a worthy addition to the series. It just feels like a juiced up high jump boost.
Yeah, I think there's one thing they could have done with the spin boost that would have made it feel better. And that is give it the properties of the space jump underwater. That way they could have spaced out the space jump to a little bit later in the game. Like if you could use it multiple times underwater and do that like horizontal forever bounce, I think that would have made the spin boost feel a little better.
You have to be really careful during these like quick time event segments because if you anticipate it, you'll get hit. You have to wait for the spark. It gives you plenty of time to react to the counter indicator, but if you do it early, if you know it's coming and you're like, oh, he's about to attack, I need to do it now, you will get hit by it. It's just like, Don't be hasty. Wait your turn.
Don't be hasty.
That was stupid of me.
I movie quote all the time.
I didn't have my eye on for flash shift because I had just de-stealthed. That was real close. I almost got frozen there.
See like that right there? That would have killed me in Dread Mode too.
Yeah. I like these lights. These lights are like, this is where you need to use your spin boost to get through.
Yeah.
I hate these mushrooms. They take way too long to come back.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the mushrooms and the frozen mushroom puzzles. They just don't click with me.
Anyway, we don't have to worry about the ice semi anymore because this is the end of it. This is actually one of my favorite central unit fight arenas because of that one ring that comes from the very bottom left. And it just sort of like skims along the floor towards you. but you don't have to aim at it if you wait long enough. You wait for it to like get to eye level, and then you can just shoot it, and it's that simple. Man, I took a lot of stupid damage there, but it's okay because it's, you know, it's not dread mode. It's just hard mode. I was actually considering offering, hey, I'll just do a dread mode run for you, but then I was like, that might not end well.
we can really save that for a future stream.
So the reason I don't like think that the ice Emmy is as hard as the speed booster Emmy is because of this right here. They give you a very long run up, and all you have to do is like go where the game like gives you this whole thing and just aim. Now the bad thing about the ice Emmy, his face cools very quickly. Like as soon as you stop shooting his face, it will start cooling. It will basically cool off immediately.
Yeah,
basically you just do that and it's done. I always like to wait for him to reach me and stand up. I know it looks stressful, but you actually have plenty of time there. But if you don't wait and you try to shoot early, you could miss your chance altogether. Like, he's very hard to hit while he's moving that fast. So just...
It feels like his hitbox changes when he stands up, and it extends out through the top of his head a little bit more when he's standing. So he's a little bit easier to hit. I noticed that when I was playing through too.
Where am I going? Oh, I needed to actually go that way. Well, now I have to go around because I jumped down here. But yeah, like every Emmy after the speed booster, they literally like give you, hey, here's your run up. This is okay. Now I am lost. Oh, I need to go that way. Duh. Okay. It's like, here's your run-up, this is where you fight the Emmy. Obviously, speedrunners make their own places, but, like, for casual audience... Oh, right, I've got the ice missile now. Oh, yeah, that's another thing I hate. I hate ice missiles, in general. I have always hated ice missiles ever since Fusion. In fact, I hate the ice beam in Super Metroid. I turn it off most of the time. But... having your super missiles supplanted by ice missiles is really unsatisfying.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I was not a fan of the ice missile when it was introduced in Fusion. I was not a fan of the diffusion missile when they introduced that in Fusion. I didn't mind the ice beam so much in Super Metroid because it had a clear use to it. The Metroids are weak to the ice beam, and you could turn it off. So,
yeah, the fact that you can turn it off is probably like, oh right, I went the wrong way. It's actually over here. You're supposed to be using your little like detector thing to find out which boxes are bombable to get through this segment. But like I've done it so many times, I know where the bombable blocks are.
Yep.
So I literally never use this power up in any of my playthroughs except for 100% playthroughs. Just to find like the little things that I don't like already actively have in my working knowledge of where they are and how to get them. All right, so here we are at my favorite hallway for the third time.
Yep, and then you have to come back here again with the screw attack, and I think one more time after you get the screw attack. I remember being in that room a lot too.
No, you come back when you have the space jump. And then you come back when you have the screw attack, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to go across the top path underneath, and then you have to go up through all the screw attack blocks. Yeah, I remember that game. I get the order that I had to go through there mixed up, but I remember having to come back to that room a lot.
Yeah. 5 times. I count it. That was our third time through. The next time will be with space jump, and the time after that will be with screw attack, where you don't have to worry about the bombable blocks anymore.
Yep.
You actually have to go through that room a lot more often in 100% runs, because that's basically the only way of getting through Gavaran.
And in the 100%, you have to worry about the bombable blocks, even after you have the screw attack, Because if you destroy other screw attack blocks, you can't actually get back through that tunnel. You have to wait for them to come back and then not use the screw attack. Because I got myself stuck.
How was that? Pretty cool, right? That's my second favorite speed booster puzzle.
This one took me a minute to figure out because I couldn't figure out how I was supposed to activate the speed booster like up there. One thing I do love about the speed booster puzzles in this is that once you touch one of the speed booster blocks, it breaks all of them.
Yes, and they stay broken permanently.
Yep.
Those are both very good quality of life decisions that I absolutely agree with them with.
In Metroid Zero Mission, there are a lot of complicated Shine Spark puzzles where you have to like run, then jump and dash into a ramp, and then run up that, and then Shine Spark again, then dash into another ramp, then morph and use the Shine Spark in Morph Ball mode into a ramp, and then unmorph. Like there's a lot of puzzles like that. And in that game, you have to hit every single speed booster block or it stays there. And if you cancel your speed boost even 1 second too early, you have to do the whole sequence again because you left one block and it won't let you walk past it.
So here we are in the wave beam Emmy's thing. His gimmick, so to speak, is that he can see you through walls. If he looks in your direction, he will see you. Fortunately, he's easy to outrun.
Yep.
Like, I have faced him in really tricky positions in the past. I wanted to get the map over here. I have faced him in really tricky positions in the past, but I actually don't have that much trouble dealing with him, because even if he sees you from really far away, he cannot always, like, actually reach you before his pursuit runs out of time. So basically, like, even if he sees you, just ignore him and keep going, and he'll probably lose track of you, and you'll be able to just move on with your life.
I don't know that I've ever just done that.
Also, his weakness, he's very bad at looking up. Whenever he has to look up to see you, he'll almost always look right past you and miss you.
Although I will say, like, when I was playing, I remember in that room you just left, I had the bad luck of him being in that room, like, most of the time when I went in here. And, like, I have to walk right past where he's standing exactly.
So, did you see what happened earlier? Hang on, he started chasing me, and then, like, I just kept moving. I didn't do anything special. I wasn't trying to specifically avoid him. I just kept moving, and he lost track of me on his own. Because he loses his ability to see through walls once he starts pursuit mode. That's his weakness.
I've never noticed that before.
Yeah, something to keep in mind. Like, if you're detected by the wave beam enemy, just keep moving. Like, chances are he can't catch you.
That is helpful info to know.
So, right here. During a boss rush, you can't do this. I highly recommend every other moment, like especially in dread mode, make sure you hit him with a shine spark. SQ is one of the hardest bosses, especially in dread mode. His moves are very difficult to avoid. Like that, I just took damage there. I would have died instantly.
I never thought of popping this guy with a shine spark.
Yeah. And the shine spark takes away a lot of his health. It gives you a head start on him. And whatever makes the fight shorter is very good. Also, do not underestimate his core X form. It has a lot of invincibility frames. Just get him into a pattern, do not take him lightly because I've died even once he was a Core X too many times. But once SQ is dead, the game it gets a lot easier because you've got Storm Missiles. Storm Missiles are a fantastic addition, and I'm glad that they exist.
I agree. Like ice missiles, like, nah, not so much, but storm missiles I like. And I think storm missiles work way better than the diffusion missile.
Oh, wait. Is this the right way? I think... Yeah, it is the right way. I'm being dim. Don't mind me.
I got lost at this point because I did the same thing and I ended up going the wrong way.
I think... Yeah, where I want to go is up there. Okay. Oops. Those guys are like damage sponges. It's easier to just freeze them and move on. Another demonstration of the NE being very bad at looking up.
Yep.
Like, he knows I'm up there. He's trying to find me, but he just cannot, like, look directly in my direction because I'm up. So anyway, I would say that this boss fight is, like, the culmination of RoboChozo boss fights so far. Except for that. You can kill them so much more easily once you have the storm missiles.
Yeah. Do storm missiles, does each one of the missiles do the full missile damage?
They do full regular missile damage. They don't do, like, super missile damage. But, yeah, you're basically hitting them with 5 missiles per lock-on. And, like, so that was 15 missiles each. That's why it took 3 salvos of storm missiles. Because, if you'll recall, they took 40 missiles. 15 times 3 is 45.
Space jump. Now this is where you start to really stack on some power.
Yeah, and like as soon it's funny that you get space jump before gravity suit in this game too. I thought that was fun. But yeah, it's like they immediately throw you underwater. And it's like, all right, this is how we plan for you to be using space jump for this next segment.
And like this part right here, like the underwater segments where you're bobbing along, I think they could have done that with the spin boost. And
I think so too, but I think it would have made too much of the game too accessible too early. So it's definitely a design decision that they made intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I almost forgot to hit A. So, yeah, like, it was definitely intentional that they don't do it the way that you describe. It would have been nice, like, it definitely would have given the spin boost a lot more longevity, because in that case, you would have, had a lot more to explore, a lot more that you could do with it. But they clearly didn't want you to get to some of the areas that you could have if you could do that. Like, you could have gotten the gravity suit as soon as you had the spin boost.
Well, they could have made some modifications to change the order around a little bit.
You could have, but honestly, I'm fine with the way it is. Like, it makes sense. Okay, so here we are. We got the space jump. Like I warned, we're coming back to my favorite room.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last time we have to bomb our way through it, but this is our 4th time here, and I hate this room. That's why it's my favorite. I like to bomb those to remind me that I can shine, or not, I can screw attack through those, because I've forgotten before. I've forgotten exactly which blocks are screw attackable. So, that's why you'll see me drop a lot of extra bombs, like around parts that are screw attack blocks, just to like show that they're screw attack blocks, so I remember later.
Yeah, I tried to pop as many of the breakable blocks as possible, just to put it on the map. Because once you pop one of them, it'll show you on the map what it is, and you can like zoom in. I used that a lot when I was going through trying to figure stuff out.
This is the only other teleportal that you will have to go back through, but you don't go back through it until much later in the game. Like, I will have screw attack before I go. Son of a bitch. I will have screw attack before I go through that teleportal again. But that's the only other one that you actually have to go back through during, like, the developer intended path that I take.
It was so much fun figuring this sequence out.
Yeah, this is my favorite Shine Spark puzzle. What I didn't know the first time was after you do it, there's a little shootable block here. And thanks to that, I've basically skipped the entire sequence leading up to getting the gravity suit, where you have to like very slowly make your way up this shaft, like space jumping across it multiple times, or you do the speed booster puzzle. I also like just like dealing with this junk with all of your various tools. That's a really fun thing to do too.
And like this is just a little thing. I love the way those barriers on the door break off when you shoot them. It's
Oh yeah, definitely.
satisfying.
Sorry, gravity suit sequence. I do really love watching it, but I did say I would be skipping cutscenes. Ah, yeah, gravity suit. It looks so cool in this game. I love the gravity suit. I love it in basically all of its iterations, but this one in particular just looks really nice. Oop, I don't have screw attack yet.
I will say the purple and green works really well.
I also like how Samus's like gun changes colors through all this. So like your gun starts yellow and continues to be yellow even when you have light beam, but then you get plasma beam and your gun turns green. So like the highlights sort of match the green parts of your suit, but then you get the wave beam and it turns purple, so it matches like the overall aesthetic. Like you never get a arm cannon color that doesn't work with your suit, and it always looks good.
Yeah, they really did a good job on just the design of Samus in general. Even like the shoulder pads, which are so iconic in the Varia suit design, they changed them for the gravity suit because now they have the like little plates and ridges on there that aren't there with the Varia suit.
Yeah,
Like,
it really feels like instead of like getting new suits, your suit is evolving. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but like those green lights that are like going down Samus's body now.
yeah, they connect all the way down now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that. Oh, I don't need to watch this. Obviously, I can get back up even if I did trigger this thing. I just like, you know, not triggering it. Also, I want to point out that I have a bad habit of continuing to try to wall jump even when I have the space beam. Like, you'll see me, like, go against walls, even though I've got space beam and can just jump. Oh, right.
I don't think that's a bad thing. Because I would do the same thing just because I'm used to it from Super Metroid. But even after you get the space jump, it's a lot easier sometimes to just single wall jump to go places.
So it's really nice that you fight your first shield Chozo after you get the storm missiles, and your storm missiles do lock on even when his shield is up. So you can basically like hold an attack for when they let their guard down. it just starts to feel like more strategic. Like, not only are you getting stronger, but you're getting more options, and that's not just for traversal, that's for combat too. Like your option, like the power-ups you get, a lot of them are also useful in combat. By the way, before you get the screw attack, the only way to kill these guys without them bursting into a big ice burst is with that counterattack. If you were to shoot them or missile them, they would burst. And it's basically, if you're within sight of them, they will hurt you.
I did not realize that.
Well, you have to be real careful with them. Oh. Okay, that's fine. So, that's a speed booster block. That's a missile block. That's not the only way you can do that, but that's my favorite way of doing that.
Yeah, I
Hey,
think
Dancer Boy.
I did that a different way. Welcome! He's one of my regular viewers. And a good friend. We've known each other for a long time.
Well, it's good to see you. Hello, I'm Cyder Delish.
Yes. I am learning all about Metroid Dread, the hard mode. Cyder is actually the one playing. She is really good at this game. And giving me kind of an intro on how to not suck at this game.
I will say, one of the most important lessons, learn the counterattack windows. So much of this game is made so much easier when you know when you can counter and how to counter.
I was
It was
very
actually
bad at
painful
that.
watching your normal mode run because you countered basically nothing. I was like, it's so much easier if you just counter it.
Yeah, I was very bad at the counter. Especially once I got the screw attack, because then I'm just like, screw it, I'm jumping into everything.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, once you've got screw attack, sure, you don't need it anymore. Fuck. Oh. This part has given me a lot of trouble in Dread mode runs. This is one of... I'd say this is maybe the second most difficult part, because my last checkpoint was that conversation with Adam, and my next checkpoint isn't until I reach the elevator. Oh, right. Ow. Right, can't go into the Emmy room because it's frozen. Most enemies that are easily counterable are absolute damage sponges. So I really appreciate that it's like you can either shoot them a million times or you can kill them instantly just with good timing. I think that's... Okay, so I've been thinking a lot. Once upon a time, I bought a gift card for Brick Road to get Metroid Dread, and he elected to buy a different game with that money. I told him he could. I told him that I'm not going to make him buy whatever. The gift is his. He can spend it how he wants. I was disappointed that he didn't play Dread, but I'm starting to understand why he doesn't think that he would enjoy it very much. Now that I've been like doing these counters so much, because he has that whole, like, he's very bad at reflexes. He does not have very good reflexes when it comes to games. His reaction time is garbage.
Quick time sequences are a bit of a bane of his. Like he is so bad at it. I think he would enjoy Dread and that he would get the hang of it. But in order to actually get him to play it, somebody's probably gonna have to like buy the Patreon perk and make him play the game.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't want to do that to him. Because if he's forced to play this game, then he's definitely not going to enjoy it. So
well,
I'm
he
hoping
might.
he'll decide to play it naturally someday because I think it'll be fun to watch him learn it. But
I wouldn't
I'm
say
not as
that.
certain that he'd enjoy it as I was when I tried to buy it for him.
One thing I will say about Brick Road is one of the things that I've always respected about him is he does give games a fair shot, even if it's a game that he thinks he won't enjoy. He will give it a fair shot and play the game, and if he's wrong about it, he comes out and says that he's wrong. I've always liked that about him. He will give a game a fair shot, and he will play even a game he doesn't like through to completion to see if there's a chance that there's a part that he might like.
You're gonna have to practice this boss a lot. That would have killed me. Just stepping on the painful ground in dread mode, would have been an instant death.
Yep, I took lots and lots of damage.
I'm actually playing very poorly right now. I'm used to fighting this boss in dread mode, and I don't know why I'm making so many mistakes that would have gotten me killed. I was disappointed that you never countered him here, because this sequence is really cool.
Honestly, I kept forgetting that you could counter him there until the flash happened, and then it was too late. And I meant to remember it the next time, and then I forgot again.
Yeah. And that's Flappy Bird time.
Yep.
So, the secret to Flappy Bird is you have, like, different heights. There's a normal jump height one, but you have to activate Speed Booster here. Dead. That's how you get the quick kill. Wasn't that cool? I didn't even finish my talk about the Flappy Bird thing. But yeah, there's basically like 3 configurations, and it, like, not like different ways that fight can go. The Flappy Bird segment is always the same. It always happens the exact same way every time he does it. So once you've learned how to get through that, Adam doesn't want to talk to me until I've got Screw Attack. That's the one time I go through an Adam room and Adam doesn't want to talk to me.
I noticed that when I was going through too, I didn't call it the Flappy Bird section. I think I called it the Battletoads section, because it reminds me kind of like of the Turbo Tunnel style challenges in Battletoads. But I noticed that it was always the same. It's like jump, 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 little jump, full jump, double jump, and then you're through. Like, it's always.
I think it's my 3rd or 4th playthrough that I discovered this teleportal directly back to the Screw Attack, because the game in no way leads you to it, but you do have everything you need to reach it after that fight. And it's clearly the intended way of getting to the Screw Attack, so.
I like that they do that, particularly with this, because I noticed that too. Because up until this point, they've shown you how to use all of the tools in your arsenal. At this point, they just expect you to use them to find this. And if you don't, you go the long way.
It's true. It's not like the long way is that bad, especially now that Arteria is not frozen anymore.
Yep.
So it's like really easy to traverse. But for those of for those people that are, looking around and using what they've got, it's just a nice little shortcut that takes you directly back to it. No additional fuss. Here's your Screw Attack.
Yep. And like at this point in the game, this is where, like, you're a badass now.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And, like, nothing's going to stop you. And one of the things that I love about Dread is that they really lean into this. Because, like, next you get the wave beam and you feel even more unstoppable. And, like, the way they, like, lean into it, as I was saying, is with the power bomb Emmy. And how you kill that one, like you don't even have to like screw around with it anymore. You just beat the thing down.
It dies in a cutscene.
Yeah, like
the enemy literally dies in a cutscene. You will have I will get hit by a power bomb, and then I will be in a boss fight with a completely different enemy, with the enemy dead in the background. It dies off screen basically on my runs, and it's so funny because like it's the final enemy. You're thinking, okay, this is the really big one. This is the one that's going to be the toughest, and it dies off camera.
Yep, and I love that because they just lean into it like, yeah, this is a big bad one. It's a badass, but you're more of a badass. You just opted in the cutscene. But no problem.
I fucking hate you, Adam.
I think it was about here the first time I played through that I actually realized, okay, that's not Adam.
My friend thought it was Adam until like the second to last or last conversation with him, and I'm like, actually pay attention to the first conversation. At no point when you're actually like on the planet does he call Samus lady.
Yeah.
That was stupid.
Like it's in that cutscene right there that I realized, hey, wait, he's not calling me lady. They made a big deal about that in Fusion. Like, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, he hasn't called me lady at all.
He does in the very opening cutscene.
Yeah.
Just to establish that's still a thing that he does. Like,
and on the elevator ride down.
Yeah.
But yeah,
in the opening cutscene, Adam calls you lady, and then after that, like, if you're paying attention, you'll know you've been out of contact with Adam the entire time.
Yep.
Anyway, this is the other time where I use the green teleportal. The only teleportal that you use both ways, other than the red one. And the red one is the only one that you use, like, you go to an area, get something, and then use it immediately to get back. This one, I used it to get to this area, then I did a bunch of other stuff. I went through Arteria and Kateris, I got the screw attack, now I'm coming back. Like, yeah. Just stuff I noticed about teleportal usage. A lot of them are kind of intended to be one way.
I never used the teleportals much at all the first time I played through. And in fact, I didn't even know that you could open them all up until you told me on my other playthrough.
Well, that is where someone had to tell me that too. That is not something I discovered on my own, I promise you. Anyway, that's the last piece of heart I'm ever going to get. I think I'm going to get one more health upgrade, but that's basically it for pieces of heart. Anyway, boss time.
I remember the first time that I played this game, this boss gave me so much trouble. But the last time I played it, I'm like, wait, these patterns are actually fairly easy to dodge. Like, I don't know what was so hard about this the first time that I played this game.
He never goes all the way to the wall. He just runs to you, and you can easily slide under him. I found it funny that you always jumped over him.
I don't think I ever actually thought about sliding under him.
It's kind of funny considering, like, you could slide under the other big one. Like, you could slide under the normal version before you even got to this one. Oh! I was really amused when I watched the speedrun boss rush of this at AGDQ or SGDQ or wherever. He did not use the storm missiles against the Core X here. And I can't imagine why. I didn't get the 3 locks before I fired, but if you get 3 locks on it, and you can lock onto it 4 times, but if you get 3, it dies instantly. And the speedrunner didn't do that. I guess he didn't know.
It's possible. I think it's still going to be quite a while before we really start seeing how broken they can get this game.
Maybe. Oh, that was the wrong one. So the way you want to use cross bombs is basically like hit it and then move forward a little bit.
Yep.
If you're right on top of it, it'll send you upwards, but if you move over, it'll send you sideways. That's just the easiest way to use it, I found. Takes a bit of patience, but unfortunately, that's the price you pay for using bombs. Here we go. We're finally here in Hanubia.
Now, look. No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll
There's a bit of an inconsistency when it comes to the weather in this game that kind of annoys me. As you saw Gavaran, you can see like the sunlight shining through. It's clearly like clear weather in Gavaran, but everywhere else where like weather is a factor, it's storming and raining. Here in Hanubia and down in Barenia, it's just raining hard.
I love that you saw the two guys in the background when you're coming through there. Turn around and jump off into the scenery. The two guys that you fight later on in this area.
Oh, yeah, true. I think that's a pretty nice touch, too.
The weather thing might not be an oversight if that one area is a rainforest.
But yeah, you finally reach this part of the game, and you're like, okay, I'm on the surface now. This is the area my ship is in. I can rendezvous with the real Adam, and we can figure this whole mess out. And then... Oh, right. I forgot that. And then, like, even if you try to get to him, like, for one thing, like, you're like, okay, this is actually a big deal. I'm not just trying to get to my ship now. I've got to deal with the X-parasites. Like, the stakes have already been raised. But also, like, you try to go to your ship, and there's just this... Oh, thanks, buddy. There's just this big block in the way that is just impassable. Can you? Thank you. I could have killed him faster if I just screw attacked him. It takes 2 screw attacks to kill him, but whatever.
Yeah, those are the guys that I said that you sonic bounce off of.
Right. But yeah, like, you get to Hanubia, you're like, oh, this is the final area, basically. Like, this is where I'm going to get back to my ship after I've solved everything. And then it's like, oh, wait, there's still one more Emmy I have to take care of, so you immediately leave to deal with the wave theme Emmy. Because you can't move on without the wave theme. There's a door that's like purple door. You're like, oh, that's the wave theme door. I got to go back, get the wave theme. So it's funny. It's like teasing the final area. It's like, but you're not quite ready yet. Time to go back. That's good game design.
Yeah. I love the way that they do the backtrack. Because, like, you know there's going to be backtracking. And the way that they handle it in this game is fantastic.
Oh, wait. I don't think I should have come down here. Always gets me. I'm thinking I'm going to go to the right, and instead it sends me upwards. I'm like, oh, right.
I don't know how I feel about the cross bomb. It doesn't feel like something that's needed.
Okay, so here we are, gearing up for the final encounter with this Emmy. Oh, wow, he hit me. Damn. It's been a long time since I've been hit by that. Fuck you. It doesn't matter that he's chasing me, because as soon as I go through here, he can't follow me. And here we are, the final central control unit that you fight. This is also the one that you fight in the boss rush, so I have more experience with this one. I found out that when those two fire, if you jump, then the third one that fires will shoot too high to hit you. Just a nice little timing thing. Also, once his shell is off, you can screw attack to kill him instantly.
I did not know that.
If you can spray to get screw attack early, it works on all of them.
You can get screw attack early? I'm gonna have to figure that out.
It makes the fight a lot faster. You just break the shell and then jump into it. Simple as that. Oh, right. So, the reason I don't think the wave theme any is very hard is because after you fight the central unit, you are funneled into this little obstacle course. There's no avoiding this obstacle course, and it's made specifically for you to get through while running from the enemy to get to the spot at the end where you have like a long run up. It just like, here's where you're intended to fight the enemy. If you fucked up and you don't have enough time, that you just push this block up. Like, there's still like a way to get through anyway. It's just like, here you go, here's where you fight the enemy. I kind of respect the speedrunners that don't go through the obstacle course. Also, you don't have to wait for him to stand up there because you have so much time to charge. But yeah, I respect the speedrunners because they can kill him right where you leave the room. And I'm just like, how the fuck?
Yeah.
It's like such tight timing. It's so scary to watch. Oh, I love the wave theme.
Yep. Now you're at full power.
But yeah, because of all of these factors, because like the wave theme ending is so easy to avoid and like deal with in the end, I say he's actually one of the easier ones, even though he's the last one you actually have to deal with. I made it. If you're really quick there, you can make it like through that room before that X spawns and becomes just a fireball in your face. I don't recommend doing that on Dread mode, though.
Yeah, I can see that being a couple of resets.
Nah, you just gotta be patient here. Honestly, you can shoot him through the wall because you've got 8 wave beam. You just wait for him to form, shoot him until he's dead, then you can move on.
Yep.
Or you can be really daring like me and just like shoot the thing as quickly as possible and move through before he can spawn.
I don't know. I would probably just hang back and shoot him with the wave beam.
He takes a lot of shots, but that's the easiest way of dealing with that guy.
Yep. I love that you encounter these guys in like the open world before you actually encounter them.
So then, like, power bomb, like, oh no, this last one has the power bomb, then you... There it is, dead in the background. I don't have to fight it.
Oh, I didn't know you could...
He actually hit me there.
Did you just melee his shield, or was that a counter?
It was a counter. His shield does a melee spark when he, like, you know, sets it up to charge at you. And then you just break the shield, and then he's just like a regular Chosen Warrior fight. I'm a bit disappointed in myself for taking a hit there, but overall, it's basically how it goes. You can't skip this. I wish you could.
So, did you figure out that Samus was becoming a Metroid before you got to this point in...
No, this was actually a pleasant surprise. I thought it was really cool.
I didn't see this twist coming, but when she killed, like, I was here at the power bomb thing when she grabbed it, and I'm like, oh, holy shit, she's a Metroid now. She can do the sucky thing. And then when she killed the red guy just by draining him, I'm like, yep, I've got Metroid powers.
I'm very stingy with my power bombs because they give you very few.
Yeah, they aren't dropping them like they are in Super Metroid. We end up with like 50 of them.
Indeed. This is one of the more annoying speed booster puzzles, because if you don't get it, you have to go all the way around to try again. If I miss this, I'm not going to try again. I do really like to have an extra power bomb, though, just in case. But I hate that puzzle, because, like, if I didn't do it, this door is locked. I have to go the long way around to try again. Hello, Adam. Yeah, Destiny and all that.
Can't you get the speed booster from down here and go back?
Huh?
Can you go back into that room from this room? No, it's locked.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you have to go all the way around, like, through the Emmy zone and all that.
Yep, I can see
Really
that being
annoying.
annoying.
The developers were clearly like, wow, that scene in Super Metroid where you blow apart a glass tube was really cool. After you get the power bomb, let's do it 3 times.
Yep. When I walk through that area, I'm like, hey, this is cracked. I wonder what I'm going to do with that later.
Yeah, I think they were a little overindulgent right at the end, but that's okay. I can forgive them. Anyway, this is the last Chozo warrior. For some reason, I forgot my buttons for a second.
I've done that during these fights before. Like, oh no, I forgot what button does what.
You have to use the grapple beam to take his shield away. And the only way the game communicates that is his shield glows blue after you do the melee counter.
Yep, and I didn't even see that when I was fighting this guy.
I didn't know it at all. Like, I was so surprised when I saw someone else do it. I was like, oh, right, it's blue. Like everything else you can grapple beam. It's just very subtle but consistent design.
Mm-hmm.
It's very excellent. This game is phenomenal from beginning to end. So any 100% run I do, I basically run through the game just like I just did. And then as soon as I get to this part, I'll go up the elevator and then I'll immediately turn around and go back. And then I'll go through collecting items.
Because it unlocks all the teleporters, yeah.
Exactly. It's the easiest way of going about it. I've got like my game. Obviously, the game time run is a lot shorter than the actual time it takes you to actually play through the game, because it doesn't factor in like loading screens and all that. So I think like my game time for 100% was like below 3 hours. Last time I did it, which I think is something to be proud of, even though my actual play time was closer to 4.
Well, I think you're definitely into the 3-hour mark this time.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing great.
Yeah, you're in a really good pace.
That elevator there, you have to watch that elevator every time you reattempt this fight. There's a cutscene. There's a cutscene as soon as, or a checkpoint rather, not a cutscene. There's a checkpoint as soon as you use the elevator. So like, oh wait, actually I need to. There's a checkpoint, like, as soon as you get on the elevator, but you always have to ride up the elevator. Come on. Got it. Phase 2, let's go.
I remember the first time I played this, it felt so good when I figured out what you had to do in phase 2 to not get hit. This is one of the bosses I think has fantastic design. Because you come...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you come through the first time and he just owns you. And then, like, you figure out how to perfect phase 1, and then you get into phase 2 and he just owns you. And then you figure out how to perfect phase 1 and 2, and you get into phase 3. I love that progression. You always feel like you're getting better at this fight.
Alright, phase 3, let's go. Oh, you son of a bitch, why would you start with that? It annoyed me so much seeing the speedrunners just fucking, tank the damage from this. Because as a Dread Mode runner, I never want to get hit by it. And
like that?
so I'm like, you lucky bastards can just get hit by it all you want. I thought this was the hardest mechanic until I learned you could powerbomb it.
Yeah, I didn't even know that power bombs worked on that until you mentioned it during the final fight.
Yeah.
You gave me all of the clues.
For telling me that ice missiles work better on him than regular shots in this phase. I wish I could say that was damageless, but I did take damage to him at that one spot with the fucking hyper beam. I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I don't know.
Basically, cutscene. That was the hardest part.
Yep. I don't know if I like the way the hyper beam is in this game. I kind of like my magic candy laser. Not gonna lie.
I love the hyper beam. It's so fucking cool. Literally, all you have to do for this is hold Y. Now, the speedrunners like to wait until he's really close to make the cutscene take as little time as possible, but I get nervous I won't get the timing right, so I just hold the button. You don't have to aim or anything. Samus aims on her own. You just have to hold the shoot button. If you don't hold the shoot button, you die, but, like, why wouldn't you be holding the shoot button? Unless you didn't know you could. And I think having your, like, HUD on screen is your, like, indication that, hey, this isn't just a cutscene. You can control things here.
And an escape sequence.
I kind of feel sorry for any ex-parasites that died of my hyper beam rather than getting, like, screw attacked by me, because they just get absolutely obliterated. Like, they are disintegrated rather than, like, just, die. Like, at least they have a chance, but not with a hyper beam.
Yeah, the hyper beam I will say, I like that it melts everything. Like, so perfectly.
Oh, this part's fun. If you already know that you can speed booster here.
I don't think I put it together, but then I'm not surprised because they did that in Super Metroid. And
a minute and a half escape. And that's Metroid Dread. That's the whole game. Oh man, I had a lot of fun playing it.
I still think that's the best looking suit right there with the blue.
Mm-hmm.
I love the sass. Even in that little cutscene right there, she's looking at you. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Not my best time, but not not nearly my worst. My total playtime was still less than 3 hours, so that's pretty awesome.
Yep. So that's hard mode for Metroid Dread. Eventually, I'm going to do that. This video is going to serve as my kind of notes on how to be good. Yep.
3 hours of notes is kind of a lot, but there you go.
Not when it comes to something like this. Having like an in-depth thing that you can follow, and you can go right to like the exact point. Like, okay, how do I do this point? Let me scrub to this point of the video. Yep, I love that.
I'm okay. I want to point out to everyone watching, Narishm, obviously you already know this because that was the whole point of this. I'm not amazingly good at Metroid Dread, or like I'm not just like naturally gifted. I've played this game many times, probably close to 20 times now, maybe more. And I just really enjoy this game. And the more you play it, the more you pick up on like the movement and how you can do things and how you can avoid getting hit and how you can kill things efficiently. And it just gets easier and easier. Like, even though that was hard mode, I'm sure that looked easier than Narishm's normal mode run. But anyone can do that. Just play the game. It's a lot of fun. And I highly recommend not saving, because saving is for chumps. Because when you go back to the start screen, you already have a file that's ready to go again. Right from the start.
Yep, and that is absolutely true. It goes for more than just Metroid Dread. Like, if you want to get good at a game, all you have to do is play the game. You will get better. And one thing that helps me out is watching people that are better than me play the game. Because then, like, once I learn how to do something and I'm not doing it well, watching somebody else do it well or apply techniques that I know how to do in new ways gives me a lot of ideas on how to improve.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for having me on your channel to play through this game. I will take basically any excuse. And I enjoyed, having someone to talk to while I was going through it.
Yep. Like, I'm always down for collabs and cool things. And I've listed Cyder's socials, Twitter and Twitch down in the description. If you're not familiar or you're not one of her followers, go down there, take a look, subscribe, do all the fun stuff, and because she does a lot of cool things, and we've known each other for a little bit, so yeah, cool person.
I'm actually planning on streaming a little later today. In about 2.5 hours, I'm going to be streaming some Genshin Impact. I know it's a gacha game, but if y'all have any interest in seeing more of me or in seeing more of that game, then feel free to come around and hang out.
Yep. So that's what you can do. 2 hours, go watch some Genshin Impact. And tomorrow, I'm going to be back with A Link to the Past. This time, hopefully without all the problems that ended the stream yesterday. So I'm doing my Christmas stream again the day after Boxing Day. Because that's the time to do Christmas streams. I mean, it's the fad, Yeah.
Better late than never.
Yep.
Anyway, again, thanks for having me. I'm gonna head out. Have a good rest of your day, and I hope your Christmas was merry, and I hope y'all have a great and happy New Year.
Yep, and that is the end of the stream for today. So, thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow. I saw that. Thanks for the sub, Ace.